What's up, guys? Brian Elwood here. We're about to get started in like 30 seconds, so just sit tight. I'm going to test the sound and we'll get it rolling. Thanks. What's up, guys? Brian Elwood here. All right, let's do this. How's everybody doing today? So, I'm excited to be here with you guys and to present a presentation that I think will be very helpful for you guys and help you really understand what it takes to gain freedom through real estate investing at the end of the day. Okay, that's what we're here to figure out. The title of this presentation is How to Replace Your Income, Quit Your Job, and Never Worry About Money Ever Again Without Having to Wholesale Houses or Flip Houses, Deal with Sellers, or even Manage Tenants Ever Again. Is this something you guys are interested in finding out? Let's do it. Quick warning, guys, if you have a job, this information could permanently end your relationship with your boss. You may never get to wear a piece of flair again. You may never get a slice of birthday cake at the office, and you may never have a conversation with Lumberg. So don't say you weren't warned. And secondly, if you're currently a real estate investor or you are aspiring to be one, this information is really going to challenge what you've currently been doing, what you're planning on doing. So be prepared for that. Cool. Guys, I'm going to ask you to shut down Facebook and email for the next 60 to 90 minutes. Those things are great, but they can be a huge distraction most of the time. And I'm going to be present with you guys here for the next hour, hour and a half. So I just asked you to do the same for me. Does that sound good? You guys stay till the end. We're going to do a live Q&A. You can write down this email address here and you can send emails to this address as you have questions, and we will do a live Q&A where I answer those questions at the very end of this web class. So write down that email right now, brian@brianelwood.net. Sound good? Quick earnings disclaimer, guys. This is not Bitcoin, okay? This is not a get rich quick scheme. Real estate investing, like all investing, takes work. You're not going to become financially free overnight. When I first got started, I just wanted to make enough passive income to cover my bills. Over about 7 years of doing investing, I got to a point where I no longer have to work for money anymore. My bills are covered by passive income. However, I did a lot of unnecessary and stupid stuff along the way, hit a lot of dead ends. And I want to share that with you guys today so that you do not have to make those same mistakes. I want you to be able to get to where I'm at, but much faster and more painlessly than I did. So, the good news is that I've simplified this path to freedom through real estate. And you guys can now start adding passive income to your wallet in the next 30 days and retire in less than 12 months. Now, I know that's a bold claim, guys, retiring in a year, right? But you compare that to working till you're 65. It's night and day. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. Because when I say retire, I'm not exactly talking about having Lamborghinis and mansions and millions of dollars in the bank. Okay. It's something different than that. So I want you guys to stay tuned and you'll understand what I mean by the end of this presentation. Isaiah Freeman says, after learning Brian's approach, I finally figured out the quick and simple approach to attaining freedom through real estate. I'm finally getting close to quitting my job and going full time. So, my goal for this web class is if you have a job, short and simple, I'm just going to show you the fastest and safest and easiest path to quit your job forever and replace your income through real estate investing. And if you are currently an investor, like I said before, I'm going to challenge what you've been doing, the way you've been thinking, and ask you if you're doing is really lining up with the lifestyle that you're really trying to live through real estate, right? So be prepared to be challenged. I'm going to show you a much simpler and cleaner path to get to where you're probably trying to go. If you are like 99% of all of the other coaching students and people I've talked to. Sound good? My goal for this web class is also to show you that the easiest, simplest, and least risky path to what you really want, freedom, is through this method I'm teaching here. This is the only method that is guaranteed to work in 2018. So, real quick, guys, I want to define financial freedom because this term gets thrown around all the time and people botch it and mess it up. Financial freedom is the day that your passive income covers your expenses. So you have the line that's horizontal, that's your expenses. Let's call that 50 grand a year. Your passive income is a line starting at the bottom and going up, right? Starts at zero. And then as you grow it, it gets closer and closer. And the day those two lines intersect is called your financial freedom independence day, or at least that's what I've heard it called before. That's when you become what I call a 100 percenter. Just means 100% of the money you need to live is covered via passive income, meaning income you don't work for. Now, guys, this is goal number one in real estate investing. I don't care what anybody else says. This is why everyone gets into real estate, is to have this level of security and freedom. And they easily get distracted by a million other things that are not getting them to this place right here. And I'm going to show you exactly how that happened to me in just a second. So, the stuff we're going to talk about today, who does this work for? If you're someone who wants to have complete freedom in your life to do whatever you want all day, this is for you. Or if you're someone who wants to skip flipping and wholesaling altogether, if you are someone who wants to avoid buying expensive turnkey properties, if you want to learn the only type of real estate investing you will ever need, if you want to invest in real estate, but your market is too expensive or too competitive, we're going to cover that. If you want to invest in real estate, but you don't want to do any of the work yourself, or if you are brand new and you've never ever done a deal, this is the best place to start. I'm going to teach you guys not only the simplest, but the most progressive approach to real estate investing today. Sound good? My name is Brian Elwood. If you don't know anything about me, I've been a real estate investor for about 7 years. I've done lots of deals, wholesale deals, fix and flip deals, buy and holds. I'm also an educator, podcaster, author, and a coach. These are some of the people that I was fortunate enough to learn from. Everything from Mr. Sean Terry to been coached by Kent Clothier and Joe McCall, and been in mastermind groups with guys like Matt Terrio and Jason Medley and Justin Williams. And I was coached by Jason Hartman. So I've always sought out education. I've sought these guys out however I could, right? And I didn't always have tons of money to pay them. But I attended their events. I asked them questions. I would pay for their time to talk to me on the phone. Some of them I did hire as coaches. And really, what I did is I learned so many different things from all these people and kind of put together my own very simple approach. I took what I liked from all their approaches and did away with what I didn't like, and kind of came up with my own formula for this whole deal. Still, despite being coached like by all those amazing people, I took a very roundabout path to success. Okay, guys, this did not happen for me very easily. It did not happen overnight like I believe it can for you. It's too late for me, but I still believe it can happen quick and easy for you. But for me, it was pretty damn difficult. So around '06 or so, I graduated from college, University of Tennessee, and I got stuck in cubicle land. I followed the path that everybody kind of laid out for me, the path that they lay out for everybody, right? And I ended up in this crappy healthcare job in Tennessee, and I was miserable. I absolutely hated every single second of it. Here's some of the things I did in my cubicle job just to keep my sanity. They had a system where you had to do something every 10 minutes, right? And so I figured out how to do a piece of work in 30 seconds. And this system tracked your work, right? So I would literally set a timer for 9 minutes and I would do 30 seconds of work so that I got the little check mark. And then I would watch Netflix. I watched probably 10 seasons or 10 entire shows, like every season of the show, sitting in this cubicle over the 3 or 4 years that I was there. And it literally, I'd watch 9 minutes of Netflix. My timer would go off. I'd work for 30 seconds, reset the timer, rinse and repeat. I know that's freaking pathetic, right? But at the time, I thought I was cool and I thought I had hacked the system. But really, what that was doing was just kind of eating away at my soul slowly but surely. And I just got sicker and sicker like each day going into this job. Another thing I would do was bring my guitar to work, and I had a minivan at the time, and I'd go sit in the back seat and play guitar and sing and try to write songs because I've always kind of been a part-time, not so serious musician. And so I would do that. And then the last thing I would do was go into the bathroom and do yoga. Literally, like put paper towels on the ground and do yoga inside of the one person bathroom. Okay. I wasn't doing this in front of other people. I'm not that nuts. However, all these things is like I was just doing to maintain my sanity, you know? So if you're somebody who is in the working world and you hate your job, like believe me, I feel you. I've been there. It sucks. It's the worst thing ever. It just drains you. Like you don't have any energy at the end of the day to do anything to work towards your goals. You just want to go home and sit on the couch. I totally get it. That's what I did for years. But I promise you guys, there is a path out of where you're at right now. So eventually, this ate away at my soul enough to where I had to quit. So I told my boss, I'm out of here. I didn't really have a plan, but I just knew that if I stayed at that job any longer, I was literally going to get depressed and unhealthy. I was already starting to get kind of depressed. My girlfriend said I wasn't as happy. So I had to quit, right? So I just threw in my 2 weeks notice. I got out of there and I worked, I went and worked at this place, a grocery store, which you might think that's not much of an upgrade, Brian. But for me, it was better because it was less serious. It didn't eat up as much of my mental bandwidth. So I was able to focus on my goals more. I had more energy. I had more time. I was working on my feet, moving around. I was in there talking to customers. And something shifted inside of me when I was at this grocery store. I started listening to podcasts and started reading books. And I started like going up to people and shaking their hands, asking them what they did for a living. I was real serious about like finally getting my shit together and figuring out what I was going to do for a career. And I knew that having a job could not be an option because I had had jobs for 15 years before this and I was completely miserable at every single one. Okay. There was not a single job that I even liked a little bit. I don't like authority and taking orders and rules and all the things that come with jobs, it's like schedules, like all that crap. So I was a produce guy, like this guy in the picture. I would hydrate heads of lettuce and kale and wash the apples and put them out and make them look pretty. So I did eat more vegetables during this period of my life. So there was another side benefit to this job. But one of the big things that changed inside of me was when I grabbed a copy of this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's funny enough, the copy I ordered on Amazon was so small that it would fit in my pocket. I mean, it was like 2 inches by 2 inches. Somehow they printed the whole book on these tiny little pages, right? So I brought that little tiny copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad to work with me every day, and I would go in the bathroom and I'd read it, or I got to the car and I'd read it. And talked about this idea of financial freedom, where instead of working for dollars, you start making your dollars work for you. And I was like, man, that sounds so freaking ideal. Like, that is what I want. If I could have money just coming in, just enough to pay my bills where I didn't have to suffer through these jobs, I'd be so happy. I'd be so much like I'd be well rested and like my brain wouldn't hurt and I wouldn't be ticked off all the time. Like, I just envisioned this amazing life that I could have. I could pursue my passions and things, if I could just get my bills paid without working. So that was my main goal when I launched into this whole like career of like trying to figure out entrepreneurship and investing and all that. And so I knew I wanted passive income. Just to reiterate this, guys, because it's really important. I wanted my bills to be covered by cash flow I was not working for actively. So if I needed 4 grand a month to pay my bills, quite simply, I wanted $4,000 a month hitting my mailbox every single month. Okay. Clean and simple. And I found a mentor at this grocery store. He was a young, cool dude. He drove a Mustang and not this guy, but he looked kind of like this guy. And he always would come in there around 11 a.m. on a Tuesday when everyone's supposed to be at work, wearing sandals with a tan, and he just didn't seem to ever be rushed. And so I asked him what he did for a living. He said he flipped houses, and after I bugged this guy enough, he agreed to mentor me, and he taught me how to drive around, find ugly houses and write them yellow letters asking to buy their house because as a flipper, he wanted more deals. So he was going to pay me something to find him these deals and it would help him too because he needed more deals. So I found him his first deal. I remember running to the bathroom to answer the phone when the seller called me, and I'm in the bathroom of the grocery store wearing my apron, talking about buying her house for $70,000. And I didn't have any money, right? So I was scared out of my mind. But I ran to my mentor, I told him about it. He ended up connecting with her and buying the deal. And a few weeks later, he invited me out to lunch one day and sat down at a table at a little Indian restaurant in Nashville. And he whips out his checkbook and he wrote me a check for $1,000. And when I picked that check up off the table and looked at it, like something just clicked inside of me where I said, oh my gosh, even though this deal was scary as hell to do, I only did put like 3 hours of work into it total, cumulatively, if you add up the work. And I made $1,000. That's $333 an hour. And here I am at the grocery store making $9 an hour. What in the hell am I doing? I need to become an entrepreneur. I need to do this real estate thing, right? So that's kind of all I knew. And I quit the corporate, not the corporate, I quit the grocery store job and I dove into real estate full time. I ended up working underneath the wing of this mentor for another close to a year. And I did about 8 more of those deals where I got $1,000 each time. And then I was finally ready to break away and go out on my own. So I gave my soul to real estate at during this period. Um, I started going to the RIA meetings, real estate investor meetings, the local kind of thing where they have a speaker and everybody networks once a month. I met another guy there who was also a beginner like me, and we decided to partner up 50-50. We were both excited and scared, and I think we just wanted to partner up so that we could be scared together. You probably know what I mean by that. It's always easy to have somebody who's in it with you, right? So we partnered up, me and this guy. We started out wholesaling, and that's basically going out finding deals and putting them under contract and then trying to find an investor to flip the contract to, right? We learned about this thing called wholesaling. It seemed like a really low risk, low cost way to get started. It didn't really line up with that goal of financial freedom through passive income. Remember the one I talked about earlier? However, whatever. We didn't really think about it that much. We just wanted to do some deals, quit our jobs, and be real estate investors of some kind. Okay. So we basically moved forward. We started mailing out tons of postcards. We were putting deals together all day. And over about another year or so, we grew our revenue to the business to the point where I could pay my bills through wholesaling. And that was huge for me. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm an entrepreneur who's paying his bills without having a real job. I created a job instead of, working for someone else. So for me, that was a big step forward at the time. But we still did not have any actual day to day freedom. We didn't have real jobs, but we were chained to the businesses we had created. I would spend all day working on marketing. I would be going on appointments to meet sellers all week long. And literally, my phone would be ringing 40 times at dinner. And I'm not even exaggerating. We would be, let's say we dropped a big batch of postcards, trying to market for leads. If they landed on a Tuesday and I went out to dinner with my girlfriend on Tuesday night, I'd literally get 40 phone calls while I was at dinner. And of course, I didn't answer them all. I had to call them all back the next day. But for an introverted guy like me, that was miserable, right? I do not want to be a sales guy. I do not want to be on the phone. I've never wanted to do that. And to this day, I still don't want to do that. So I hated this part of real estate investing. Um, the constant hustle, that's what wholesaling felt like. When you're wholesaling, when we were doing it, we were always after the next check. We had to work to generate our income. Okay. So that's an important distinction, guys. Grind, grind, grind. We were always seeking the next hot marketing channel. We're constantly analyzing leads, constantly dealing with sellers. We couldn't go on vacation, take a day off, or the business would stop. Does anybody relate to this? Has anybody experienced this as well? I'm sure you guys have. So we hired a coach. We decided that we needed some help because we were kind of like burning our engines out and we thought we wanted to automate our business. So we spent most of the cash we had to hire a real estate coach for a couple months. We told him we wanted to automate and free ourselves from the business. He was like, guys, if you want to do that, you need to hire. And so we listened to him and we started hiring. We hired an office manager, we hired an acquisition manager, we hired a lead and a disposition manager, we hired a VA, we hired an inside sales rep, and other positions. Effectively set out to replace ourselves in every single part of our company. And then after that happened, things got a lot better. We replaced ourselves in every part of the business. Our revenue increased. We were kind of out of the weeds finally. And we also only had to work from the computer. And around this time, I bought my first rental property. This wasn't really the focus, but I slowly started accumulating rental properties around this time. In fact, that is the actual house that I bought for the first house I ever bought. Still have it today, and I know it is absolutely beautiful, right, guys? So after that, we continued to grow some more. We stepped on the gas. We started spending tons of money on marketing. We grew up to having 10 employees that we were managing. We were doing well. However, we had absolutely no free time on a day to day basis. Managing 10 employees, guys, is a lot of work. Okay. We were on calls all day, every single day, because if you have employees that replace you, you no longer have to do the job that they are now doing, but you do have to manage them. Okay. So we were looking at spreadsheets and financials with them, reviewing all their KPIs, and just dealing with drama in general. We were busy every single day. Like I said, we became managers. Instead of doing the work, we were managing the people who were doing the work, right? Slight shift, but still a job. Managing is just a different job. I want you guys to understand that. It's really, really important when you embark down this journey of real estate investing. You need to understand what you're getting yourself into, okay? We were only earning active income. Our business was not passive. We couldn't take any vacations or the business would stop. See, everyone wants an automated business, guys. People come to me all the time and they say, I want you to help me automate my business. And what you guys need to understand is you can't fully automate your business without having a CEO, too. Let me explain that. So, if your business has major functions that just currently needs to happen, and you slowly but surely hired eight different people and you put them in each of those positions, right, to do that function, you might say your business is fully automated. However, you still have to have one person that is above those eight people that manages them. And you have to have somebody who crafts the vision for the company. So essentially, if you want to fully, truly automate your business, you have to hire someone to even be the CEO and run it for you. And that's not a cheap job role. Like you're at least going to spend six figures to get a good person who can run a business. Your business needs to be doing, easily over $1 million a year or more if you're going to outsource the leadership, right? That's a big, big decision. And until you can do that and it makes sense, you will have the job of being the CEO, which is not just an easy job. It's the hardest job of all because you're the captain of the ship. That's like saying that the general, in the army, like has it easier than the soldiers. I mean, really, his job is a lot more stressful because he's in charge of the whole shebang. Make sense, guys? Another thing that was not good is I didn't really feel good about wholesaling in general. I never really did. I don't like the fact that you can't really tell the seller the whole truth. You got to go on an appointment and act like the buyer. And then you've got to go around and shop the deal around, but you can't publicly blast it or you might get fined by the real estate commission. And all these wholesalers are getting in trouble for wholesaling and stuff. So it's maybe not illegal, but it's in this weird ethical gray area, right? Um, Buyers that you assign the deal to, they'll back out last day and they screw over everyone involved. So wholesaling had some issues that just did not sit right with me and still don't to this day. So at the time, I thought that wholesaling was the problem. I started trying to shift our business model. I thought switching to flipping would solve my problem. So by flipping, I mean we actually bought the houses and then we would fix them up and sell them. Where, wholesaling is just flipping the contracts. People use the word flipping to describe both. So I wanted to let you know the difference between what I'm talking about here. So I thought switching to fix and flip would solve my problems. I started putting people and systems in place to flip the houses versus wholesale contracts. And what I learned is that it is much more complicated than wholesaling, guys. We had to borrow lots of money to do flips. Managing multiple rehabs at one time is a lot of work. Another thing that's important to know is that rehabbing retail, which means with the intent of reselling it, that involves a lot more than just the rent ready rehabs. Rent ready rehabs are like paint carpet, you make it clean and livable. Retail means granite countertops, hardwood floors, stainless steel appliances, the right paint colors, the right backsplash, landscaping, all that crap, right? You have to really like learn what you're doing if you want to be successful with the fix and flip retail model. It's very different than just fixing a house up to rent it out. So, lots more risk was involved. And the worst part was that we still had no freedom. Doing multiple flips at a time is a lot of work. We were still managing our team daily, just like with the wholesaling. This was still an active form of real estate investing, guys. Active versus passive. Remember that. So at this point, I was pretty fed up. After investing in real estate for 7 years, I still could not find the freedom I was after. And then I had a disagreement with my business partner. He wanted to go back to wholesaling. He didn't like the fix and flip model, and I couldn't really argue with him. It wasn't working out great for us. It was complicated, and we were screwing up deals and stuff. But I didn't want to do wholesaling or flips. I already told you I didn't really feel good about wholesaling, and so we kind of came to it came to a head, and we were like, well, do we need to stay business partners? Our visions were too different at this time. So we decided to go our separate ways. We decided to split up. So what we did is we dissolved our business. We decided to split. We divided up our employees and dissolved the existing business, the flipping business. And then I just kind of had this weird moment where I is like we hit the reset button on everything. And you might think that moments like this are bad for entrepreneurs, but really it's an amazing opportunity to kind of like sift through what you have and throw away everything that was no longer serving you and only take the best parts of what you learned and what you created into the future and into what you're going to do next. So that's kind of what I did is I took stock and was like, what do I have and what can I do from here? And I had accumulated a dozen or so rental properties over that period of time working with my business partner and doing all those wholesale deals and flips. And I looked at it and I said, wow, most of my net worth that I have comes from that portfolio of rental properties. Then I kind of had an aha moment. I realized that those dozen rentals or so made enough money to cover my bills, which were about 5,000 bucks a month, which meant I never had to work ever again. And this hit me like a ton of bricks. Like it wasn't that I was a millionaire or that I was, like a rich or anything like that, but it was the freedom piece, right? It was like, wow, if I keep my bills low, like technically I have this like safety net under me that I can't ever go below, 5 grand a month because I'm making that without working. It's like it's automated, it's passive, right? So it's like all of a sudden I had all this freedom once the business went away to do whatever I wanted to do. And it was the most amazing feeling ever. I had essentially achieved my original goal of becoming a 100 percenter, of achieving financial freedom. But here's the funny part, guys. I got what I originally wanted, right? Freedom, but it did not come from doing wholesale deals. It didn't come from doing flips. It didn't come from all that marketing we spent money on and all that stuff. It didn't come from the huge business that we built. It only came from one thing: cash flow rental properties. That's right, guys. It's all it came from. And that those only took 5% of the time that I spent working over all those years to accumulate, and they weren't stressful. Many of them were bought without my own money as well, which I'm going to show you how to do in this class. So, those rentals, like I said, were essentially my safety net. Even when my business failed, the rentals were still there to support me. And I realized that as long as I kept them, they always would. And that's when I realized that raising this safety net and strengthening it and making it greater and greater was really like the only thing I needed to focus on from here on out. So, talk about an ass backwards route, guys. I want to ask you, have you guys ever had to do something the wrong way to figure out how to do it right? I'm guessing you probably feel me on that one. Um, Basically, I built the huge business and did all the different things you can do as a real estate investor just to find out what not to do. Okay. And I don't know that I could have done it any other way, right? Because I didn't really have anyone sitting here telling me, um, talking to me about this like I'm talking to you about it now, right? So I had to go out there and drive a million miles an hour in a million different directions and hit tons of dead ends and turn around and try this and try that to finally sort through all the crap and figure out what is essential here to freedom through real estate investing. And that's it. Buy and hold is king, guys. And don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Buy and hold is king. You want lifestyle. I realized that all I ever should have done was buy and hold. I could have taken a much faster path to freedom. Since then, I've more than doubled my portfolio of rental properties. I'm still buying a house every month. Just got a few team members. Everything's much simpler and easier. It's in alignment with my goals and my lifestyle that I want. And I have time to focus on my passion, which is what we're doing right here, right now, education. I always wanted to be a teacher. I was originally going to be a college professor. I love to teach. I love to educate. I love to share my experiences and try to help other people. Personal development is like my number one core value. And I'm obsessed with just improving and growing every day and helping other people do the same. And so, because I was able to free myself from all the unnecessary parts of real estate investing and just focus on the part that gave me freedom, I had a lot more time to focus on my passion. So, I want you guys to think, what are you passionate about that you don't have time for anymore? And if you had enough income coming in to cover your bills, would you have time to then start putting more time towards that thing? That's how it worked for me. And it's been the best thing ever since. It's been amazing. This slide, I probably should have put it earlier in the presentation, but I want to drive this point home because a lot of people say, well, I'd love to get rentals, Brian, but don't you essentially have to do the same thing as like when you flip a house when you're going to get a house ready to rent? Isn't it kind of a flipping business? Like you still have to do a renovation and get contractors in there and all that. And the short answer is yes, you do have to do the same thing, but it's very different. So with rent ready rehabs, it's much more basic and plain. Like most of the rehabs we do are five to $15,000 worth of work, right? Like look at the cabinets in that picture on the rent ready one. They're the old cabinets, and you can preserve those because there's nothing wrong with them. That fridge, there's nothing wrong with it. It's clean, it works. You leave it there. You the floor, you leave it there. You throw some paint on the walls. You get the place clean and livable. Simple, right? Less risk, less headache. Really, almost anybody can do a rent ready rehab. I can hire a new project manager right off the street and tell them to manage a rent ready project, and it's hard to screw up a $10,000 rehab, right? Retail is a whole different animal. Like you have to know exactly what paint colors are hip for that neighborhood. You've got to put the right stainless steel appliances in. You've got to get the right granite countertops. You got to get the right backsplash and the right stove top and do the landscaping and all that stuff. And like to me, that none of that's interesting. Like I don't want to keep up with trends and design and stuff like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's not what I was ever interested about when it came to real estate investing. Again, I got into real estate to give me freedom, right? I didn't want to have to learn anything that was unnecessary, no unnecessary details. Does that make sense, guys? So, rent ready rehabs are all I'm suggesting you ever have to do, and they are way, way simpler. So, why should you care? Why should you care about all this stuff I'm presenting? Well, first of all, do you have the goal of financial freedom? If you answered yes, you basically just learned that you can skip over so much of the stuff that is taught out there today and have a very clean and simple path to where you're trying to go. A lot of people ask me this, well, like how long is it going to take? How many houses do I have to achieve this? And I've got your answer right here. Are you ready to find out how many houses you need? One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's right, guys. You need 12 houses to be financially free. I know you're probably already saying, how in the hell do you know how much money I need to be financially free? Let me explain. Okay. So here's the breakdown. Um, and again, you're probably wondering, where in the heck do you get a $50,000 house? I'm going to explain that in just a second. But bear with me. $50,000 purchase price on the house, 900 bucks a month in rent, right? You pay your lender $292 a month. I'm going to talk about lenders in this presentation. You pay $90 to a property manager, 50 bucks of taxes, $50 for insurance. You take out 135 for vacancies and repairs. That's 15% of the rent. It's just smart to go ahead and budget that in your numbers because things break, tenants move out. It's how you protect yourself, right? There should still be cash flow after you take that all the stuff out. And on this potential deal, there's still $283 a month in your pocket. That's net income you get to keep and spend, which is $3,396 a year. So that's how one properly purchased house breaks down. This is the type of house I buy all day. So again, back to the how many houses do you need thing. If you can make 3,396 bucks on average per year per house, then if you had 12 of them, that equals 40,752 bucks a year. It's a 40K a year salary. However, what I didn't mention is that there's crazy tax benefits to rental income. You pay you only pay tax on like half of the money because of something called a depreciation write-off, which is probably going to sound like foreign language to you if you've never heard about it, but it's just this huge write-off you get because your house technically depreciates, like the materials that make up the house each year. So it lets you write off 1/27th of the value, which is usually a couple grand or whatever. So that's over half of $3,300 that you're not paying tax on. Okay. So if that was confusing, don't worry about it. But the way it basically breaks out is that even though you're only bringing in about 40K a year, it's about the same as if you had a $48,000 a year salary job, like a cubicle job making 48 grand. 12 rentals, cash flowing like this, nets out to the same thing. You'll put the same amount in your pocket at the end of the year as you would making 48 grand a year and then paying normal taxes on that. Does that make sense, guys? Excuse me, getting some water here. All right. So even Kiyosaki did it. You guys heard of Robert Kiyosaki, right? I mentioned him a second ago. Um, Everybody thinks that Kiyosaki is like this well, he is a multimillionaire, but everyone's like, man, yeah, he just got successful because he wrote a book and he went on Oprah or whatever. A lot of people don't know his story and because like they don't trace it back far enough. But listen to this. Most people think he must have gotten instantly rich. Kiyosaki actually quit his job after buying a multifamily building in Phoenix. Did you guys know that? He was only making 47 grand a year in passive income on the building. Does that sound familiar from the slide I just showed you about the 12 houses? So, of course, you can buy multifamily too, or single family. It's kind of your choice. I teach single family more so than multi, but I have bought some multifamilies as well, just smaller duplexes and triplexes and things. But Robert Kiyosaki did this too. Once he was making 47 grand a year in passive income, it was enough for him to quit his job. And when he had that freedom and he no longer had a job, look at what he did with it. He exploded and now he's worth 50 million bucks and he's famous and he wrote a book about it. So the real reason for us to get freedom is to focus on our passions, right? At the end of the day, that's the underlying reason behind everything we do. Focus on your passions and live that lifestyle you're really excited to live. Does that sound good, guys? So, guys, you're just a dozen houses away. I want you to know that. Goal number one in this whole deal is get your first 12 houses. You can grow it as big as you want after that. Okay. Don't worry about like, well, only 12, Brian. No, you can do 120. I don't care. But like goal number one, stage one, get to 12, like version 1.0. Okay. Get to 12. Then you'll essentially, and the reason I say you can retire is because the average American income of a single person is only like 36 grand a year. And I'm telling you, you can make 48K or the equivalent of a job that makes 48K with 12 little houses. Now, 48K a year is probably not enough for you. You probably want a little more than that or whatever, but it's money you're not working for, right? And you could probably survive on that 48K if you had to, even if you had to like move out of your house or sell your car and move to somewhere smaller. You're no longer like your new rock bottom is 48K a year, no matter if you work or not. Does that make sense, guys? Another thing is that you can do this in as little as 12 months. I know that's a bold claim, but I'm going to show you exactly how. So, guys, the last question I asked you, is who do you want to be? Do you want to be the wholesaler who's constantly running around chasing leads, chasing deals, trying to put deals together? Do you want to be the fix and flipper who's constantly dealing with problems and very complicated renovations and things like that? Or do you want to be this guy, Mr. Buy and Hold, who gets to do whatever he wants to do all day and the money just rolls in? You tell me. Isn't this cool, guys? Isn't it a relief to know what it really takes to get what you want from real estate and you can shed all the other crap that's out there? Cool, guys. Let's dive into the 3 secrets of virtual REI. Secret number one, how I find cash flow properties easily, even in 2018, when the market is super competitive and crazy expensive. Secret number two, how I find, buy, renovate, and rent a new house every month, working just 2 hours per week from the ski resort. Secret number three, how I easily grow my passive income stream every single month using none of my own money. If I could teach you these 3 things, guys, in the next 45 minutes or so, would that be cool? Let's do it. All right. So, how I find cash flow properties easily, even in 2018, when the market is super competitive and crazy expensive. So, I figured you guys might be thinking, this all sounds great, Brian. I'd like to do what you said. Who wouldn't want 12 little houses? But my market is way too expensive. There's no way I can find deals where I'm at. Another thing, Brian, is my market is way too competitive. And so let me kind of address those by telling you guys a story of what happened when I first got started. So when I first got started, as some of you know, I was investing in Nashville, Tennessee. This was in 2011. Everything was dirt cheap, and the getting was good back then. I could find rentals literally almost anywhere in the town. I could buy houses, like I was saying earlier, for 50K all day that would rent for 900 bucks a month, which is good, by the way, really good numbers. Everything I bought was going up in value. So I guess I was just a genius, right? I thought so. However, strong markets attract competition. So in 2015, things started to get much harder. I couldn't find any more cheap houses. My genius had run out. So here's how we adjusted for the competition the first time. We went to the fringes. We started looking for deals just outside of the hot neighborhoods in Nashville. And all of a sudden, we were finding good deals again. And then that worked for another year or two. And then it dried up again. Even the fringe areas of Nashville became popular and expensive. We couldn't buy rentals anywhere in Nashville. How many of you are feeling this right now? How many of you are saying, yep, Brian, that's exactly what happened in my market. And now it's really expensive. And you definitely can't find any rentals where I live. Are you thinking that right now? Well, if you are, bear with me because I have the solution. So when things dried up for the second time, it really shattered my confidence because I kind of thought I knew what I was doing all along. And then all of a sudden, I could not invest anymore. My path to financial freedom came to a halt. So I wondered, do I have to sit on the sideline and wait for the market to crash again? So I did a little brainstorm one day. I remembered, last time this happened, we went to the fringe and it worked. And it seemed like there was no more fringe because Nashville was maxed out. But I asked myself, could I do this again and go out a little further? And that would require me investing completely outside of Nashville altogether, which I was honestly not that comfortable doing. But there was really no other option. So I started kind of doing some investigating and identified 10 other nearby counties close to Davidson County, which you can see in the little picture is where Nashville is in. I saw some of those counties were really growing. They had strong economies and jobs, but the prices there were still really, really low. So I started entering those markets. I decided to leave Nashville altogether and enter just the surrounding cities. All of a sudden, we started seeing great deals everywhere. It was literally like pulling the blinders off, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like our whole world of investing kind of opened up again once we became willing to look in places where other people were not looking. Here's a deal I did 2 weeks ago. I want to share this with you guys. It's in Columbia, Tennessee, which is 45 minutes south of Nashville. I bought this little house for 35 grand. 15,000 bucks is what it costs to renovate. It's actually still being renovated at this moment, but it's almost done. And here's how that deal shakes out. So it's going to rent for 850 once we fix it up. I'm going to pay the lender 291 a month. 85 bucks goes to the property manager, 127 again vacancies and repairs, that's 15%. 50 bucks goes to taxes, 50 bucks goes to insurance. So this one's going to put 247 a month in my pocket every month, which is almost 3,000 bucks a year. But check this out, guys. So the house I just showed you is in the top picture on the left, kind of there in the shade. And look what's across the street, a brand new house. And those other two houses are on the street or on an adjacent street. So this area is blowing up. It is getting nicer, yet somehow a lot of investors have not really discovered it. They're not really into it yet. And that brings me to another really important lesson about investing in general. First of all, growth only goes in one direction, guys. So when we first got started, this was the area everyone focused on, just like this core area of Nashville. And all the investors were trying to like fight over deals in this one hot area that was trendy, right? And then that maxed out. And then we had to go out a little further to that right there. And everybody was kind of fighting within that little circle. And then guess what happened? Bloop. Once again, the waters got bloody and we all had to go further out to find cheap deals. Another year goes by and boom, there it goes again. Now we're all of a sudden we're entering the surrounding counties. And that works for another year or two. And then boom, it goes out again. So this is essentially like this little right here. That's what happens in a market cycle. Okay. I'm going to show you guys what happens once the cycle ends here in a second. So the second lesson is for you to get ahead. Okay. The key to successful investing is to get there first. The same thing's true with stocks. Think about it. If you want to make money on a stock, when's the right time to buy it? It's really when it's really cheap, which means that's when people still don't really care about it, right? Like once people start to care, that care gets baked into the price of the stock and it's hard to do really, really well. You have to like be willing to be there kind of like way early. And the same thing is true with real estate, right? And that's what is going on with me buying that house for 35 grand. And yeah, there's a few houses being built in the area. So there's other competitors there, but there's still so many $35,000 houses. I'm sitting here thinking, why in the world are people still fighting for deals in Nashville? This is where the growth is spreading, guys. So remember, just because there aren't deals in your immediate area doesn't mean there are no deals at all. You have to be willing to adjust based upon market conditions. This presentation is updated to reflect what needs to be done in 2018. Okay, today, April 5th, 2018, this is what's going on. And this is how you adjust for it. I'm not just going to tell you to go fight to find deals in your crazy competitive and expensive market. You're not going to be able to find deals there easily and they're all going to be too expensive to work as rentals anyways. So why would I tell you to fight in the bloody waters of the big cities, right? That's not a good strategy until the market corrects. Another thing, guys, I wanted to point out is that the real reason we keep going out further and further and further to those fringes is cash flow. Okay. The real reason we go out is to find deals that are priced to make sense as rental properties. So remember, as long as the deal cash flows, like the breakdown I showed you, where you're making 200 to 300 bucks a month net, then it going up in value, the appreciation is just the icing on the cake. So it's great if you can have both. If you can buy a house that where it cash flows and there's new construction on the street, that's the best of both worlds. But if I had to pick one, I'm definitely going to pick the cash flow, no question. Does that make sense? Because that's what we're investing for, because that's what gives us freedom in the end. So I realized through all that there is a market selection formula for all of this. If your area doesn't work anymore, stop beating a dead horse and look elsewhere. Don't invest just anywhere on the fringe either. You need to make sure that where you're investing has a strong economy, has population growth, has jobs there, and the price needs to make sense. If you can make sure that all those things are in alignment, you will have success. You can always find markets where these things happen, no matter where the overall real estate market is. So, through all this, like ups and downs, we learned that there's really never a lack of deals in the real estate investing world. Right now, we are at the peak of the real estate market. Okay, guys, like real estate markets move in 7 year cycles historically, where it's like it goes up for 7 years and then it goes down for seven or then up, right? Um, So it's literally been 10 years. So not down for seven. Goes up for seven, then it corrects for a while, and then it goes up for seven, then it corrects. That's what I meant to say. But we've been going up for 10 plus years. So we've like gone way past the average. So it's hot right now. It's overheated right now. It's never been harder to find deals, guys. However, me and many others are still finding great deals using the strategy that I just showed you. And here's the secret. Eventually, things are going to cool off. You'll be able to re enter the current hot market. So, that circle I showed you that started in Nashville and it kind of expanded and expanded, it'll shrink essentially. And you'll be able to like start finding deals in the core of Nashville again, where how it was when it started out. You can re enter the hot area once things cool off. So, think about this. If you can learn to find deals right now when it's harder, imagine what it's like once it gets easy again. Like, guys, investing in 2011 and 12 and 13 and 14 was like taking candy from a baby. It was the easiest thing ever to find cheap deals anywhere, to make money. Everything was going up in value. That's really like when it's fun and easy. But like you can totally do it right now. And then when things cool off again, you get to take advantage of the market when it rises up again. They say a rising tide floats all boats, and that's really true. If you get in at the bottom, if you're already an investor when it bottoms back out, then you will really do well on the next uptick. Sound good? Cool. Secret number two: how I find, buy, renovate, and rent a new house every month, working just 2 hours a week from the ski resort. So I figured you guys might be thinking, I'd love to buy rentals, Brian. I'd love financial freedom. Okay, I believe you that I can, find deals in some other market. However, I don't want to mess with the contractors. I don't want to deal with tenants. I don't want to deal with crappy property managers. I don't want to sign closing docs. In fact, I don't even really want to leave my house, Brian. So when we first got started, we were doing all that. We managed contractors. The remember showed you the first rental I ever bought. I managed the rehab, and this contractor was terrible. I had to babysit him. I had to total up all his numbers for him, double check all his work, go over all his invoices. There was tons of hand holding involved. It turned into a nightmare. I was at that house every day for 4 weeks. I got nothing else done. So here I am looking for financial freedom, and I'm living at this little crappy house. It's definitely not freedom, right? It was a huge mess. Like every rehab we ever did for a while created a huge mess. It sucked up all our time and energy. I asked myself, is this again, was this what it takes to be a real estate investor? Because I'm not really sure I like this. I was drowning in to dos, standing in line to get utilities turned on, drowning in paperwork, running keys to all these different people for houses, checking PO boxes, going to the title company, signing contracts, drowning in emails every day. And for a while, I just thought that this was kind of the price I had to pay. And eventually, all that stuff would go away. It never goes away unless you intentionally make a different choice, right, to eliminate it. And so I was totally drowning in all this stuff. Another thing that I did was property management, real genius. This is another one of the first rentals I ever bought. Still got it today. And once I did the, nightmare renovation on that one, where I had to go to the house every day, I found a tenant, a young guy who was a Marine. I met him over there. I gave him my number, told him call me if anything goes wrong. I thought it would be easy. I thought I can do this myself. However, that turned out to be the worst idea ever. I mean, this guy literally would blow me up at 11 p.m., at midnight, at 1 in the morning, just talking about how there was a bug on the wall, or I owed him $20 because he replaced a toilet chain in the side of the tank and all this stupid little stuff. And I'm like, man, this is not what I signed up for. I want passive income. This is not passive, right? So, I was really fed up doing all this stuff. What I was doing clearly was not working. I realized that even buy and hold can destroy your lifestyle if it's not done right. Okay. Like, totally. You do have some kind of business that you've got to create if you're going to be a buy and hold investor. And the way we set it up, it was messing up our lifestyle. So we decided to make a new golden rule for real estate investing. We clearly saw that replacing ourselves was required if we were going to truly have a lifestyle business, right, where we had passive income, we didn't have to do anything, that we still had to replace ourselves in a few of the roles as a real estate investor to really take advantage of that lifestyle. We decided to set up our entire business so it no longer required our physical presence. So what we did is we hired an office manager, and this person checked the mail every week, attended closings, dropped off checks, keys, etc. Guys, you can hire a great admin person for 12 bucks an hour for 5 or 10 hours a week. That's 60 bucks a week. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, is that they don't delegate the small stuff, and they're still doing these things that somebody would willingly do for $12 an hour. So don't think that this is a big expensive hire. And we hired a project manager, and this is the person that meets the contractors and inspectors, oversees all the rehabs for the rentals, visit the property 3 times a week, takes pictures and videos, puts them on Google Drive for you. And again, this type of a job is something that you can just pay someone by the project. It's not a full-time employee you have to have in house. You could pay them $500 to $1,500 on top of what the rehab costs to do all the managing, and to like go to the house tons of different times, and even go to Home Depot and Lowe's and get stuff for the contractors every now and then. For 500 to 1,500 bucks per rental, just budget that into your numbers, and you're good to go. And then you can delegate this part of the job. And then a property manager. We hired a property manager to deal with the tenants, to place the tenants, to find good tenants. And they were the ones that were handling the repairs. They were the ones that were handling those phone calls, those texts in the middle of the night, like getting mail for us, like all the little stuff property managers will do for just 10% of the rent. Like, so if you have a rental that rents for $800 a month, that guy's working for 80 bucks a month. That's his pay. That's his salary per house. It's not a lot compared to what they do. It baffles me that people try to do this themselves. You've got to hire a property manager for your rentals. So with that basic team in place, we were complete. Our business became completely virtual and automated. We had true freedom finally. We didn't have to leave the house at all anymore, not even for rental properties. I went on this 3-week epic road trip to kind of celebrate. And then I fell in love with Denver when I was on the road trip, and I decided to test this theory and move across the country. Even though my business had always been in Tennessee, I decided to move to Denver to see if I could run the business from 2,000 miles away, basically. And I wanted to live near the mountains. So once I got here, I started, even running the business from even crazier places. I wanted to see how far I could go. So I started working from the ski resort. I would take my laptop up there, throw it in a locker, get in some runs on the snowboard, and then go get my computer out and do work for an hour, and then put it back up and get back on the snowboard and repeat, basically. Um, and everything went fine. And I was like, wow, like literally, if you have internet, you can have a real estate investing business. Like the days of walking through houses and standing on courthouse steps and all this going to title companies are over if you're willing to let go and let them be over. Okay. This summer, I went to Spain for 2 weeks and I ran the business from there. I got engaged to my beautiful girlfriend, Carly, finally, after 9 years of dating. It was an amazing trip. And while I was there, the business went fine. Houses got renovated and rented, and we found new ones, and lenders, did what they're like everything, the wheels kept turning, right? Like, so you need to understand that if you have a simple business that's automated, and you're replaced in those key roles, especially the ones that require your physical presence, um, that's the final piece of this puzzle. That's why I call my company virtual real estate investing, right? Because we do it from anywhere. It's really virtual buy and hold, but you have to be willing to set it up virtually, even if you don't want to move or go anywhere, so that you can run it from your house, from your pajamas, in just a couple hours a week. Does that make sense, guys? So this whole like just path totally shattered our paradigm. We realized that replacing myself in these roles is absolutely required if you want freedom from real estate investing. You have to make your business virtual if you want to succeed. Virtual investing wins. It not only gives you the lifestyle that you're after, which you have to have that piece, right? It's the main thing, but it also opens the coffers up for you to invest anywhere in the US. Think about that, guys. If your market doesn't work, but you learn how to replace yourself physically, you can invest in any market. You just know what team you got to put in place, how to find the deals, how to find the money. It's pretty simple. Um, and it's just like you can go where the cash flow is. You can find a market with strong economy where the prices are still low. So virtual investing, I always say, is limitless, while local investing is very limited. I hope you guys get that point at this time. So, that cool, guys? All right, this one's one of my favorites, and this is the last secret. Secret number 3: how I easily grow my passive income stream every single month using none of my own money. You guys ready for me to reveal how you can take down these houses without any cash? So I figured I put this in here because I knew you guys would be thinking, I'd love to buy houses to create passive income, Brian. I want it. Okay, I guess I can find a virtual market. Okay, I guess I can, um, you know, build a team and replace myself and all that. But there's still one huge, huge problem, Brian. I don't have the money. So I can't do this. So let's talk about that. When I first got started, I went to the banks, right? Because I wanted to buy rentals, and that's kind of what they teach you to do. Go get a bank loan, right? But the banks were super, super difficult. It was like cutting off a finger every single time to get a loan. They always wondered about your credit score. They wanted you to have a real good income history, and both of those, weren't always great for me. They had wanted you to sign tons of different documents, and they're really slow to close, like 45, 60, 75, 90 days sometimes. Like lots of banks are just really, it's like moving like a snail, right? Really, really frustrating working with banks. And then the other way to do it is pay cash, right? But paying cash takes forever. It is a super slow path to financial freedom. If you're not Mark Cuban, who doesn't even need to buy rentals, and you don't, or if you don't have, let's say, at least like, a couple hundred grand in the bank or something where you can get started, um, then, what are you going to do? I mean, every time you have to save up 50 grand every time you're going to buy a house. How long is it going to take you to get 12? You got to save up $600,000, right? So I don't believe in paying cash either because it did not work for me. So at that point, when I couldn't get bank money and I couldn't pay cash, I went through a period where I was pretty discouraged. I felt like I'd never be able to be a buy and hold investor without banks or cash. What do I do? Will I have to keep passing on all of these good deals? And then I had an epiphany. I got to join this real estate mastermind group. In my mastermind, people were discussing all sorts of funding. And there were actually guys in this group that had like 100 or 200 rental properties. It was crazy. And I didn't have any rental properties when I joined this group, but it motivated me to figure it out. And the guys in this group were talking about all this stuff, like getting lines of credit, getting family money, getting private money. One guy said he had $1 million at 6%. And I'm sitting here like, what are these guys talking about? Whatever it is, I got to figure it out, because it seemed like they were just buying properties at will when I was sitting here like having to fight tooth and nail to even get a loan, and I couldn't get one, right? So when I got back from that meeting, I started studying this whole idea of like what they called other people's money, which sometimes they call it OPM, right? Other people's money. And I started studying all these from all these different books, and I kind of figured out how it looked, but I still hadn't done a deal, and I was still pretty nervous to do a deal. And then this little house came along. It was like a little house in Clarksville, Tennessee, and I can't remember. I think we got it from a direct mail campaign or something like that. And basically, the seller wanted $33,000 for the house, which was a good deal. We sent our contractor over there. He said 8 grand in repairs. We can have it rent ready. 2,000 bucks in closing costs. That always happens. So I knew, okay, if I can get 43 grand together, I can buy and renovate this house and rent it out. And I knew it would rent for like 900 bucks a month, right? So that's a lot compared to 43K. So I really didn't want to pass on this deal, but I didn't have the 43K and no bank was going to give me the money. So I decided to face my fears and try this OPM thing for the first time. And I called a local real estate investor who I knew had some cash because he was always asking me to find him deals. And I knew he had rentals. So for me, he was like the first person I was just comfortable enough to talk to this about because he understood real estate. And I called him up and I told him about the deal. And I said, man, have you ever considered loaning money for a rental property? And he had never done it before. But after thinking about it for a little while, he decided, yeah, I think I might want to make some money on this cash I have that's just sitting here. I think I'm interested. And I remember my jaw just dropped because I realized that this OPM thing was real and that you could really do this. I was about to get the 43,000 bucks with a phone call, guys, without going to the bank, without paying cash. And that was the total purchase price plus repairs plus closing costs. And in fact, this guy actually agreed to give me 45. So he gave me a little more than I needed. So I'd have a cushion, which it turns out I needed because the repairs ended up costing a little bit more. But he gave me 45 grand and he wanted 9% interest on his money and he wanted his money back in 12 months. So let me tell you how the deal broke down. The payment to him each month was to be 337.50. So here's how the deal broke down. Once we fixed it up, once we bought it with his money and fixed it up with his money, we rented it for 900 bucks a month. I paid him that interest payment, right? 337.50. I paid 50 bucks a month in taxes, 50 bucks a month in insurance, 90 bucks to the property manager, like 135 budgeted out for vacancies and repairs. Again, that's 15% of the rent. So that house netted me 237.50 a month with no money out of my own pocket. That's $2,850 a year. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking, what happened to the 12 months, Brian? He said he wanted his money back in 12 months. Basically, when a lender gives you 12 months, that's essentially you have 12 months to figure out how to pay him back, right? And that's a lot of time to work with the banks to find other private money lenders. So sometimes when one private money lender's term ends, I'll just find a new private money lender and he'll take over the spot. He'll loan me the 45, which I use to pay back guy number one. And now he has the lien on the property, just like a bank would. Um, and it's amazing though. Like the beauty of having these guys is you can take down good deals really fast, which sellers require, right? I need to close fast, pay cash, and then you have ample time to figure out how you're going to refinance out of that deal. And my lender, you guys should know, is very happy too in all of these deals that I do. In that example, this guy, remember, he loaned me 45K. So once I fixed that house up, it was actually worth about 75. So if I don't pay him the payment, that we agreed upon, and then his principal back in 12 months, he gets the house because they do something called a deed of trust, which gets recorded at the county courthouse and all that, right? Um, and it's basically a lien on the property. Same thing as if you went to Wells Fargo or Bank of America and you got a loan for a house. What happens if you don't pay the mortgage? They foreclose on you and they take the house back. This is the exact same thing. It's just with an individual, not a bank. Okay, it's not anymore like it's not different than that, and other than that one piece. So the worst thing that can happen to your lenders is that you pay them. Let me repeat that. The worst thing that can happen to a private money lender is that you pay them on time. Because if you don't, they get a house that's worth 75K in this example for only $45,000. You know, I've since refinanced out of this loan a while ago, but let's say I hadn't paid this guy, he would inherit a house worth 75K. He would make $30,000 essentially by me defaulting. So these types of structures really are win-wins for both you and these private money lenders. Is that cool, guys? I want to talk to you about this real quick too. What the difference between an asset-based versus what I call a U-based loan is, because this is really important, and a lot of people have limiting beliefs around this that this will help dispel. So, an asset-based loan, okay, that's what a private money loan is. They are asset-based. Okay, what that means is that the lenders, they don't care if you have a track record, they don't care if you own any rentals or if you've if they don't care who you are, right? You don't have to have done this before. The only thing those guys care about is what the property is worth, and then they loan 60 to 80% of that usually. So their money is protected by the asset, so that's all they care about, right? Like let's say I had a car that was worth 20 grand, and I told you, hey, dude, will you loan me $10,000? And if I don't pay you back, you can have my car. Well, the car is worth 20, right? So your money is more than protected by the car. Obviously, we'd need to put that in writing, and have it like overseen by an attorney, right? I know you guys were thinking, well, what if you didn't keep your word? I'm just making an example here, guys. Um, but in this real estate lending thing, like their money is backed by the asset, legally recorded at the courthouse, done by attorneys, drawn up at the title company, recorded. It's a deed of trust. Okay. And that's all they care about, as they should. It always pisses me off when bankers don't seem to like care about what the asset is worth, and all they want to do is prod into your past and all this stuff. And that's what a U-based loan is. U-based loans are much more dependent on you as an individual. That's what a bank loan is. They're U-based, meaning they want to know all about you. What's your credit score? What's your income history? What's your debt? They seem to care so little about the property itself. They still do care about it. They still get an appraisal. So they care about the asset value part, but they also care about the you part so much that they prevent you from getting the loan when they should just be comfortable knowing that their money is protected by an asset, right? And that's what pisses me off about banks. And that's what I love about private money lenders, is because they are just asset based lenders. Okay. So do not think you can't do this just because you haven't done it before. The lender cares about what he or she is loaning against, not about you. Is that cool? So that just doing these deals opened my mind. It taught me that building wealth without money really is possible. And it's basically about being willing to be the glue that puts the deal and the money together. So, you guys ready to do this? How would having an army of lenders accelerate you toward your goals? What if you had $1 million at 6% interest like the guy in my mastermind group? You'd be off to the races. All right, guys. So today we've covered the 3 secrets of virtual REI, how I find cash flow properties easily, even in 2018 when the market's super competitive and crazy expensive, how I find, buy, renovate, and rent a new house every month, working just 2 hours a week from the ski resort, and how I easily grow my passive income stream every single month using none of my own money. Has this been valuable to you guys? Let me ask you a question. Do you feel a bit like the dog in this picture? Because I know we covered a lot of stuff. We covered it really, really fast. Um, so, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to ask you permission for me to spend just 10 minutes or so telling you guys about an offer that I have put together to help you, assist you with every single part of what I just have taught in this class. Is it cool if I go over that offer for a second with you guys? Awesome, let's do it. So, what you guys are going to get when you invest in this today, it's a 6 week virtual real estate investing master class. This master class is like everything I know about real estate investing kind of put into video form. It's the ultimate comprehensive training for you guys to end up where I'm at, where all your bills are covered by passive income, where you have an automated real estate business. This thing is intentionally set up to help you get your first dozen rental properties. Remember we talked about the first 12? That's what this is here to help you do. In the class, I cover how to set goals the right way, how to pick a market to invest in, how to build and manage your team, how to find the deals, how to analyze the deals, and then how to find the money. Those private money lenders we talked about, all of that inside of this masterclass. There's literally over 50 training videos inside of this masterclass. So this thing is literally worth at least $5,000, especially considering if you get one rental property, you can make almost that inside of just 1 year. Jeff Lai says, I follow Brian's virtual REI masterclass system. To date, I have bought over 12 rental properties while also getting to run the business from the coffee shop. I'm spending much more time with family and literally getting close to being retired in my 30s. So, who does this training work for? If you want to have complete freedom in your life to do whatever you want all day, this is for you. If you are after the shortest and simplest path to freedom, this is for you. If you're willing to consider skipping flipping and wholesaling altogether, if you want to invest in real estate, but your market's too expensive or too competitive, you want to invest in real estate, but you don't want to manage the properties yourself, or if you're brand new and you've never ever done a deal. What you guys are also going to get is 3 months inside of our membership program called Freedom University. Now, Freedom University is our mastermind group, which is also entirely designed to help you guys get set up to get your first 12 rental properties, achieve that stage 1 financial freedom. So what we do is we meet once a month. You can log in on your phone or computer. I'll log in on webcam on Zoom, and I'm mostly there to just do Q&A. So you guys are actually talking if you want to, of course, raising your hand and asking questions, so I can give you direct feedback and advice and help you grow your business. You can also ask questions via email or Facebook if you can't attend, and watch the replays later. You're also going to get added to our closed Facebook group that you cannot get in any other way other than joining this program. And this is a small group of very motivated and focused people who are just really trying hard to achieve their goal of becoming 100%er, of achieving passive income. And in this group, it's an opportunity for you guys to post questions and get answers to your questions in between the coaching calls, right? Because if it calls it once a month, it's not frequent enough and you're going to need faster replies. So that's what this Facebook group is for. I log in multiple times every week and I give you everything you could ever ask for, just to make sure you have answers to your questions so you guys can move forward and you know what to do to be successful. Does that sound good? So what are you going to be able to get rid of with this product? First of all the other courses that you've ever bought, you can get rid of those. They're not going to give you the freedom that you were always after in the first place. You can get rid of more education, finding the next book or the next podcast or the next seminar. Not only the time it takes to consume all that, but the expense. You can get rid of flipping houses altogether. You can get rid of wholesaling altogether. You can get rid of dealing with competition and dealing with your expensive market. You can get rid of being confused about what to do to get your freedom. Does that sound good, guys? Brad Hardy says, after joining Freedom University, I started being able to move much faster because I could get my questions answered as I ran into issues. My business is on track to have its best year ever. So the 6-week virtual REI masterclass, 3 months inside Freedom U, total value of $6,494. You guys are also going to get 5 amazing bonuses when you sign up today. The first one is what I call Podio Precision. And this is an amazing Podio training that was put together by our COO. So, in order to have an automated and organized business, you have to have a well done CRM where you organize all of the things that are in your business. And Podio is the best one to do it when you set up the training like this. You're going to keep all your leads in Podio so that you know what's on the table, what you need to write offers on. You're going to keep all your contracts in there, like deals that you've got open that haven't closed yet. You're going to keep all your contacts in there as well. Things like private money lenders, things like contractors. Everybody can go in Podio, and it's a much, much more organized way. Most people try to keep all this in their head and they're searching the trash in their email to try and find people's names and numbers. We keep everything in Podio and we set next follow-up dates because you're always like finding new contractors and lenders. It's a very disciplined way to approach your business. So you guys are going to get this training when you sign up today, along with the masterclass and the membership to our mastermind group. You're also going to get all the contracts and forms that we use to buy properties, everything from our simple one-page purchase contract that sellers love, and because everything's on one page and it's not complicated, to the guides to hire and interview like all the different people for your team, like a project manager or an office manager or a property manager and all that. All that's going to be inside of this contracts and forms section. I don't want you guys reinventing the wheel. So all of this that we've kind of worked to build over 7 years, we've thrown in here for you to use today. You guys are also going to get all of the recordings from previous coaching calls. We've had some amazing coaching calls since Freedom University started, and I want you guys to be able to hear some of the stuff that went down. So many of the people in the group probably have similar questions to the ones that you currently have. So you get to go back and listen to these calls in the vault inside of the masterclass. And there's just hours of massive value in there. There's real clients like you asking their biggest questions and getting answers. We cover topics like how to pick a great market, how to find money, how to hire and manage employees. All of that stuff is inside of this coaching call recordings. You guys are also going to get a copy of my book, Fire Yourself. This is a book I wrote last year about how to hire an acquisition manager for your real estate company. This book has exploded in the real estate scene, sold over 1,000 copies. And if you want to hire an acquisition manager to help you find deals faster, it can totally explode your business. So I'm going to just send you a copy of the book so you can read it and see if it's something for you and just kind of get on the same page. I'm also going to send you one of these t-shirts. I made up the slogan Freedom Artist because I feel like artists aren't the only ones that create. You and I are sitting here creating something too. We're not creating paintings, but we're creating a lifestyle. We're essentially crafting a lifestyle that is founded upon freedom. And that's why I came up with this term, Freedom Artist. I'm going to ship you one of these when you sign up today. All you got to do is enter your size. Let me know what size you wear when you're filling out the survey. Once you get your welcome email, and I'll ship you a shirt. So 6-week virtual REI masterclass, a comprehensive training that includes everything, 3 months in our mastermind group, all the Podio training, all the contracts and forms, all our coaching call recordings, the book and the t-shirt, literally over 10,000 bucks worth of stuff here. So when I came up with the price, I had a couple of choices. First option, go as cheap as possible, try to sell as many as possible, but that wouldn't really incentivize me to stack the value. My second option would require a little higher investment, but in exchange, I can devote more resources to guarantee your success. So you guys could see why this would be a good deal at $2,997. And normally I do sell it for $1,497 to the general public. But because you are here now, you can get started for just $997. You guys can get started. Just type VREINow.com in your browser and get started with us today. I'd be really, really excited to have some of you on board with us. So I want you guys to ask yourself this. If all this did was helped you buy one rental property in 2018, okay, here we are in April, just one. That's all you got to do in the rest of this year. That's an extra 300 bucks a month that you'd be bringing in, or $3,600 a year in passive income. If that's all it helped you do, would this investment be worth it? What if it allowed you to eventually quit your job and work just part time while continuing to grow your portfolio? Would it be worth it? What if it just ended up giving you enough passive income to where you had 5 extra hours a week doing things you love, like you no longer had to work Fridays for something or something like that? Would this be worth it for you then? So, one cool thing I really want to make sure I tell you guys about is that I have worked out a deal with PayPal where if you're on the fence about this and you're not really sure if you want to sign up, there is a PayPal credit option where when you go to VREINow.com, if you scroll down to the bottom, right there, you see that purple button that says PayPal credit. You click that, and you basically can sign up for this masterclass, and you have 6 months to pay the $997 with no interest. As long as you pay it in full, 6 months from today, you only pay a total of $997 still, just as if you paid it all today. So that might soften the blow a little bit, and you can pay it in chunks over time as long as you pay the whole thing off in 6 months. So again, it's no payments, no interest if paid in full within 6 months. Okay. So all you got to do is go to VREINow.com and scroll down under the complete order button. You'll see that PayPal credit. You click that and you can get rolling. So, guys, 3 months of membership in our mastermind group is normally $14.97 a month. But for the people that come through this webinar and that purchase the masterclass and go through, because I want you to go through the training, you get that free with your investment today. So, you guys now have a couple of choices. Your first option is do nothing, sign off here, move on with your life, which is 100% risk free. Your second option is to pony up this small investment today and just give it a shot, which is also technically 100% risk free. I'm going to show you why right now. It's because if I can't make you money, then I do not deserve yours, which is why I have a 30-day guarantee. If you go through the VRE masterclass and take action, I'm telling you that you will get results. If you go through it, take action, and do not get results, I will give you a full and immediate refund, and I'll send you $100 just for wasting your time. Does that sound good? This guarantee is good for the first 30 days after you purchase. So I want you guys to imagine this. Imagine you totally screwed this up. You only bought 5 rentals in the next 2 years. Okay. That's 2.5 rentals a year. That's still $15,000 a year in passive income. 15 grand, guys. That's like almost what somebody makes, working at Starbucks or something like that. Well, it's about half of that at least. And I'm talking about making that without working. But what if you screwed up even worse? What if you only bought 2 rentals in the next 2 years? Okay. You bought one in 2018, one in 2019, which is really, really slow. Okay. But it's definitely way better than nothing. Okay. A rental a year. It's way better than nothing. That's still $6,000 you would have a year coming in from 2 rentals, which is $500 a month in income that you did not have before. What would you do with an extra $500 a month? What would you spend that on? What bills would that cover for you? And again, remember, that's if you totally screwed this up. Okay. So again, guys, this is the offer, the 6-week virtual REI masterclass, 3 months in our Freedom U mastermind group, Podio training. So you can organize all of your leads and contacts, all of our contracts and forms, all the coaching call recordings, a copy of my book, and a t-shirt, over 10,000 bucks worth of stuff. I've got one more bonus for the first 15 people. For the first 15, you guys are going to get your Freedom U membership bumped from 3 months up to 6 months. That's an additional $1,491 of value. So you guys will get not 3 months, but 6 months of access to me and the group. 6 months of access, guys. 6 months of coaching calls, 6 months of posting in Facebook. It's plenty of time for you to get all your questions answered and really become an expert at this stuff and get some rentals under your belt. Really see what the process is like, and then you don't need me anymore. You're off to the races. All right, guys, this is the final slide. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to be on this class today. Again, the offer is summed up in the left corner there. If you want to sign up today, go to VREINow.com to get started, VREINow.com. And if you have a question right now for me, shoot it to me, Brian at brianelwood.net. I'm going to be checking out your questions. I'm going to grab some water and we will do this. All right. So, first question is, how long does it take? So, that is always a good question, difficult to answer. It kind of depends on you, kind of depends on how fast you are ready to move. Um, I honestly believe you can buy a house a month like I do. You can get to that point, and then if it depends on how many houses you need. If you need 12, like in the example, and you can buy one a month, it would take you a year. If you can buy one every 2 months, it would take you 2 years. Every 3 months, it would take you 3 years. Okay. And when I'm learning how to build this education business, everyone always told me, Brian, you can't tell people it's going to take 1 or 2 or 3 years. They're not going to get excited about that. People want results in like 2 weeks or 30 days and stuff. Well, guys, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you can be retired in 30 days or whatever. You can have 12 rentals in 30 days. Maybe it's possible, but I've never done that. So I'm not going to say that you can do it. Okay. But the thing is like real estate is like the easiest and most predictable path. Like it's the path that the average man and woman can take, right? The person who doesn't have the $1 million idea for the next app out in Silicon Valley. Real estate, like when you do it right, like the method I teach, where you're just investing for passive income, it's really hard to screw up. Like really hard. I mean, it's just math, simple, basic math, and networking and lining up, partners so you have the money and people to bring you the deals and stuff like that. Um, so like I think 1 to 3 years is an amazing like breath of fresh air when I'm talking about never having to work for money ever again. 1 to 3 years goes by fast. You think about what you were doing a year or two ago, it's like seems like yesterday. Whether or not you start accumulating rentals, that time's going to go by either way. So that's my answer to how long it would take. Um, but it is entirely dependent on you and how fast you take action. Another question I got was marketing. Like, do I have to market to find deals? So that's a really good question. I get that one a lot because people say, well, how much money am I going to spend on marketing? And I need to add a whole section in this presentation on this, but really, you don't need to spend any. Like, getting deals from wholesalers is free and it's a really effective strategy. They're the ones out there mailing, spending all their money on postcards, hustling, beating the streets trying to find deals, and then they'll just give you their position over in the contract for their assignment fee. I bought one from a wholesaler and only had to pay him like 5 grand on top of the purchase price. That's worth it to me to not have to have tons and tons of dollars going out for marketing. So you don't really need to spend any money on marketing. If your only goal is to buy rentals, you really don't, especially once you pick a market where the deals are cheap and where the deals make sense. Like it's easy to find stuff that works as rentals without like spending hardly anything or anything at all on marketing. So you don't really need a marketing budget period. You'll need some systems, some very basic systems where maybe you build a list of these wholesalers and you email them once a week to figure out, if they have any deals for you and all that. All how to do all that is inside of the masterclass. But yeah, you can build up some real simple systems to find deals for rentals without spending any money on marketing. Totally. question about PayPal. Yeah. So if you go to VREINow.com, if you want to sign up, but you don't want to pay anything for 6 months, you can do that. You go to the bottom under the button that says, complete your order. There's another button that says PayPal credit. It's kind of purplish. Click on that, you apply. And then when you get approved, you don't pay anything. You get the product and you can just essentially not pay anything. You can pay it off in pieces over 6 months. You can just pay it all at once. It gives you 6 months to essentially save up the money for this product, and you could pay it on the fifth month or something like that, and you wouldn't pay any interest. So that's basically how that works, and that's a deal I structured with PayPal for you guys because I don't want this to hold you back from getting started. That's 6 months or whatever, like of time that you eat off the clock. If you're going to wait that long to get started, is worth way more than $1,000. Like it's just time is your most valuable asset. So however you're going to get started, you got to get started now for sure. Like the earlier, the better. Yeah, the 30-year guarantee, 30-year rewind, 30-day guarantee. The way it works is you sign up, you have 30 days to join the group, try out the product. I'll still ship you the book and the t-shirt and all that. And then if you don't really like it, or if you don't use it, or if you feel like it wasn't valuable, all you got to do is send me an email and I will give you your money back. You can email me at the email address down there at the bottom. What kind of team do I need? That's a good question. So, kind of just the team that I described. Like, if you're buying rentals, you basically just need most of the team that you need is not like an employee that works for you full time. You really don't need any full time. You could have a part time office manager, a part time project manager, and then all the other people are more like just a relationship, like a property manager. Like he doesn't work for you. He's just you hire his company to manage your property. Your title company, they don't work for you. You use them to do the closings, right? Your lenders, they don't work for you, but they're a relationship that you have to build. So that's another beauty of rental property investing is that it's not like heavy on employees. It's just based upon having good relationships. And in the masterclass, I teach you how to find all those types of relationships, how to build them to where they work well. Good property management can make or break this whole thing. That's something I didn't really talk about, but you've got to nail that piece. So yeah, you got to get those relationships right, but you don't really need a very big team to make this happen. Cool, guys. I don't think there's any more questions. I'm going to hop off of here now. I'm going to leave this screen up for 5 more minutes or so. And I would really love to see some of you guys join our program today. If you want to do that, go to VREINow.com. I promise, I will give you everything I can to assure that you are successful in this stuff. I really, really want to have some friends to go snowboarding with me on a Tuesday, right? So financial freedom is the way you're going to get there. And I hope to see you guys in the program. Thanks again for being on this class, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace.